For over 200 years, one of America's greatest treasures has stayed completely hidden. It's this incredible story of adventure, secret codes, and a fortune so big it's driven people to absolute obsession. So let's dive into the legendary mystery of the Beale Ciphers. So, at the heart of this legend, a massive treasure. And I mean massive. We're talking thousands of pounds of gold and silver, not to mention a whole trove of jewels. In today's money, that fortune is estimated to be worth over $60 million. Just think about that, a life-changing amount of wealth, just sitting there, waiting to be found.
But here's the catch. The map? Well, it isn't a map at all. It's this, a whole series of numbers. 3 pages of them, to be exact. These are the Beale Ciphers, and for 2 centuries they've promised these unbelievable riches, but have delivered, well, pretty much only frustration.
And that really is the central question here, isn't it? I mean, with a $60 million prize on the line, and you can bet countless people have tried to crack this thing, why is the treasure still out there? Is the code just unbreakable, or is there something else going on entirely?
Okay, so to find the answer, we've got to go back. Way back, to the very beginning, to a Virginia inn and a mysterious stranger who shows up one day with a heavy iron box.
So the story begins back in 1820 with this guy named Thomas J. Beale. And by all accounts, he was charismatic, super mysterious, and according to the local innkeeper, Robert Morris, he was the handsomest man he had ever laid eyes on. Now, Beale spent a couple of winters in Lynchburg, Virginia, and he totally charmed all the locals. But he revealed absolutely nothing about his past or, where all his money was coming from.
Then, on his second visit in 1822, Beale leaves that locked iron box with Morris. He says it's full of important papers and promises he'll mail a key to the ciphers later on. But that key never arrived. Thomas Beale was never seen again for 23 years. Think about that, 23 long years. Morris just kept the box. Finally, his curiosity got the better of him, and inside, the ciphers. Decades after that, he passed them on to a friend, and that friend in 1885 published everything in a pamphlet, and that's when the mystery was really unleashed on the world.
Now, for years, these numbers were they were just gibberish. Nobody could make sense of them. But then, that unnamed friend Morris gave them to. He had a breakthrough, a total moment of genius that turned this weird little story into a full-blown, legitimate treasure hunt.
And the breakthrough came from something that's actually surprisingly simple, a book cipher. See, the friend had this theory that a famous American document might be the key, and he eventually landed on the Declaration of Independence. Here's how it worked. Each number in the second cipher pointed to a specific word in the Declaration. So you find that word, and you take its first letter. For instance, the number 115 led him to the 115th word, which is instituted, giving him the letter I. He did this over and over for every single number, and slowly but surely, a message started to appear. And wow, what a message it was! The deciphered text was a full-on inventory of the treasure. It listed thousands of pounds of gold and silver, and it said it was all buried in Bedford County, Virginia. Suddenly, this wasn't just some tall tale anymore. This was a concrete list of a massive fortune. It seemed to confirm everything. But here's the thing. Solving one cipher just made the mystery of the other 2 even deeper. Okay, so the treasure seemed to be real, but the most important secrets, the where and the who, they were still locked away. And these right here, these are the 2 that are still unsolved to this day. You've got cipher number 1, which supposedly holds the exact location of the vault, and then there's cipher number 3, which is said to list the names of all of Beale's partners. The Declaration of Independence worked like a charm on that second cipher, but on these 2, totally useless. And that's the big problem, right? Without cracking cipher number 1, you can't find the treasure. Simple as that. And without cipher number 3, you can't identify the rightful owners. For more than a century now, even the best cryptographers in the world have thrown everything they have at these 2 pages, and they've all failed. So, the fact that these 2 ciphers are still unbreakable, combined with some, let's say, strange details in the original story, has led a lot of people to a pretty startling conclusion. What if the code isn't the problem? I mean, what if the reason no one can find the key is because there is no lock? What if the whole shebang, Beale, the treasure, the ciphers, was all just a brilliant, elaborate work of fiction? So, when researchers really started digging into the historical record, they found some serious cracks in the foundation of this story. For one,
The pamphlet claims Robert Morris was the innkeeper in 1820 when he met Beale, but records show he didn't actually take over the hotel until 1823. And maybe even more damning, there's just no verifiable proof that a Thomas J. Beale who fits this description ever even existed.
Then you have investigator Joe Nickel, who pointed out some really suspicious word choices. A letter that was supposedly written by Beale in 1822 uses the word stampeding. The problem? Research shows the first known use of that word in print wasn't until a full decade later. These are what you call anachronisms, basically details that are out of place in their time period, and they're a huge red flag that these documents were written much, much later than they claim. But honestly, the most compelling evidence might just come from the words themselves. Using computer analysis to track all these subtle patterns, things like sentence length, word choice, you name it, investigators compared the letters from our Thomas Beale with the writings of James B. Ward, the guy who published the pamphlet in the first place. And the result? The writing styles were a near-perfect match. That strongly suggests we're looking at one author just hiding behind two different names. So all of this leads to the main theory today, that the Beale ciphers are just an incredibly elaborate hoax. Investigators believe that James B. Ward, who was a Freemason, just invented the entire story. It was never a treasure map. It was a complex allegory. See, the whole idea of a secret vault with treasure inside is a really powerful symbol in Masonic lore, but it represents the pursuit of knowledge, not actual gold. But here's the thing. Even if it is a hoax, that has not stopped this legend from taking on a life of its own. And you know what? That might be the most fascinating part of this whole story. I mean, this whole legend started with a simple little pamphlet sold for 50 cents back in 1885. And from those super humble beginnings, it has just exploded into a modern digital obsession connecting this global community of amateur detectives all trying to solve it. I mean, this mystery has been featured on countless TV shows, everything from Unsolved Mysteries to Expedition Unknown. It's been detailed in best-selling books about cryptography. It's inspired these huge internet forums where thousands of people are still working together, hoping to be the one who finally cracks the code. People are literally still digging holes in Bedford County, Virginia to this day, all because of a story that was published more than a century ago. And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? After all this time, after all the searching, does it even matter if the treasure's real? Because whether it's a genuine unsolved puzzle or just an elaborate work of fiction, the Beale ciphers have created their own kind of treasure, a truly unforgettable American legend.